Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the defenders that play for the Premier League. So as you guys know with the midfield video, we didn't put the, like the left mids, the right mids, the left wings and right wings. It was more about the central players. But in this video, we will be reviewing the fullbacks and the center backs today. So we're going to be looking at the Champions League versions of the cards. We're going to be looking at the regular versions of the cards. There's a lot of center backs and fullbacks to look at in regards to whether or not they're decent players. So we're going to be looking at the expensive players, and we're also going to be looking at the cheaper players, right? So Jan Vertonghen is the highest rated center back right now for the Premier League. And right off the bat, he's kind of slow, right? So 64 pace. The thing that I have to tell people is that the pace is more relevant for the defenders than it is for the attackers, right? So with the acceleration being 61 and the sprint speed being 66, it's kind of low, right? 64 pace. With the agility and balance also being low, you have to really rely on his defensive and physical capabilities. So if you use someone like Jan Vertonghen in your team, you have to have your team depth to be really low. Like, I think right now I'm using it on like a 4 or a 3, but a fast center back can catch up to those players if they run back, right? But with the Jan Vertonghen, you would probably have to set it up to like a 2 or a 3, so that the pace isn't as noticeable, right? So his defensive capabilities are more noticeable. That's what you have to do with people who have lower pace. You have to put your basically how high your team is in your defensive tactics. I think it's called the depth. You would have to put it lower so that it wouldn't affect them as much. Nicholas Otamendi also is pretty low in the pace department. His agility and balance is kind of low. The thing is, right, is that agility and balance being 65 and 63 isn't the bad thing, right? Because you have to have the acceleration and sprint speed to have decent agility and balance, if that makes any sense, right? Because obviously the defenders are going to react slower to the attackers, right? So you just need to have someone that has the pace to make up for the agility and balance. There's plenty of center backs that have this agility and balance, but they have the pace that makes up for the agility and balance, right? So that's the important thing that we have to look at. But with Otamendi's card, his pace and his dribbling is quite low, so 63, 65. But if you put him on low depth, right-footed player, 3-star weak foot, dribbling 62 is okay. 64 passing is not too bad. His passing is 76, 73. So that's actually pretty nice for a center back. People will look at the passing on center backs and they'll think like it's not a relevant thing, but you definitely notice a difference as you're playing. Like your gameplay is a little more smooth when your player has like at least decent passing, especially if it's your center backs, right? Being able to like cross it long or just do those driven passes on the floor, it's very noticeable when your players have the good passing and don't. He has high work rates, which is a weird work rate to have. So especially since he's slow, you really got to put that depth low, because if he's high work rates, that means that he likes to aggressively push forward, and that won't necessarily be an ideal thing to do. His defensive capabilities are decent, and his physical capabilities are okay, but he is 67 stamina. So this stamina being 67 with high work rates could affect his card a little bit. So you got to be very careful with that, because 67 stamina is quite low as well. So this is the Jan Vertonghen's regular card. It's going to be very similar to the Champions League version of the card, just a little bit worse, right? So agility, balance can be worse, pace can be worse. So when I review the Champions League cards, just imagine it with like a 1 or 2 or a negative 1 or 2 difference with some of the cards, right? Vincent Kompany's Champions League card has 57 pace, so obviously that's very low. So again, your depth would have to be very low as well. He is medium attacking and high defensive, so that's really good work rates. It actually helps out his card significantly, right? When you have medium high work rates when you're a slow player. So if you use the depth low and you don't have to worry about people making those runs in behind, he'll be pretty decent at it, right? Because even in real life, he's a pretty solid center back. He's 6'3" with 72 jumping. So obviously with this card, most of the center backs you would either give shadow or anchor to. So if their physical is like 86 or 87, like you don't really need to improve the physical even more. It's definitely best to improve the defensive capabilities as much as possible. But the thing is, right, this is why I give anchor to most cards anyways, right? Because you could see the boost right here. So it's 15, 5, 10, 5, 10. But if you give him an anchor, it's 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 5 to interceptions, right? With a 5 and 5 on the pace. But it also increases his physical. So that's why I feel like anchor is worth it compared to the shadow, because the shadow will increase the interceptions by 10, but then 5, 5, 10. You know what I'm saying? It's like slide tackling, unless you're doing it yourself, unless you're doing it yourself, it's not really ideal. Slide tackling or standing tackle is more relevant, but slide tackling is good for the defensive AI to block the shots, right? So a decent card, except again the pace is kind of low. Azpilicueta has a pretty decent card this year. His general movement has always been good, even in previous years of FIFA. He has 76 acceleration, 76 sprint speed, 72 agility, and 73 balance. So moving left and right with him is going to be a lot of fun because he's actually going to be able to do so. His reactions is 88, so when he's dribbling on the ball, he'll kind of do those like really cut passing lane or cut dribbling with your command, basically, right? Ball control 79, 78 composure. Really, really good for a center back, right? That's actually, this is incredible to have for a center back. Now the department that he lacks in, right, is the fact that he is 5'10 with 76 jumping. As you guys know, crossing in the game is very effective. So when you have your players to only be 76 jumping with 5'10 height, it's not necessarily an ideal thing to have. But again, defensive capability is pretty good. The heading accuracy is nice to have, but it's not really important because at the end of the day, most of the times when you're clearing the ball from a header, you're just spamming B to clear the ball, right? So the heading accuracy is more relevant for the higher rated players, but if he doesn't have it with low jumping, it's not like too crazy, but it's still going to be very important, if that makes any sense, right? Because here's the thing, it's like I said, when you're clearing the ball and you're spamming B or circle to clear the ball, heading accuracy is not important, right? But it is important, if that makes any sense, right? But he has a pretty decent card. His physical has 82 aggression. His strength is kind of low too. So he's really, as a center back, he's really about movement, right? Like it's about how you move with him. That's what he's going to be totally about. Because even at chasing after the ball, he's probably going to be like really light on his feet to chase after it. But he's not necessarily going to have the strength to outmuscle a few attackers, right? Virgil van Dijk, I'm going to look at his regular card because his regular card is already like 156k. There is a reason why this card is 156k. This guy as a center back in this game is stupid good. And you would think, right? You would think it wouldn't make sense with the acceleration sprint speed. But here's the thing with this card, right? His defensive and physical capabilities, his strength part right here, is what really, really separates him from everybody else, right? Because the thing is, right, is that you can have these stats, right? You can have the aggression, you can have the strength, you can have the jumping, right? But the thing is that Virgil van Dijk in game has the body of a legend, right? So, or an icon. So I keep calling them legends, but they're icons. He has a physical stature of an icon, and as you guys know, when the physical stature is big in game, they are significantly better. That they did that purposely to the icon players to make them better than what their stats suggest. And that's the biggest reason why Virgil van Dijk's card is really good. If you look at his card, he has 83 composure with really good dribbling on the ball, right? Of course, his agility and balance sucks and his acceleration sucks, but very noticeable things, by the ways. But the thing is that it's that physical, it's that presence that he has in the defensive lineup that makes him so good. 71 stamina is not too bad with him. If you give him an anchor card, these are all his stat boosts, right? With 80 sprint speed and 72 acceleration. Pretty nice to have, right? This guy will block pretty much anything for you because of that physical stature, because of his height being so big, right? 6'4" with 95 jumping with an anchor card. So this card's unbelievable, man. This is a card that a lot of people need to get in their teams because he just makes a huge difference, right? What else we got here? So we got Azpilicueta, we got Virgil van Dijk, we got Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker, I'm going to look at his regular card as well. I'm going to do that instead of looking at the Champions League cards. I think that's the better way to go about things. This card's unbelievable, obviously. 90 pace, 81 defense, 80 physical, 77 dribbling, 75 passing. These 5 stats are the most relevant stats for fullbacks, right? And the best part is that this card, right, used to be a high medium, but nowadays he's a high, and it just makes this card significantly better. Like in last year's game, right, Valencia, in my opinion, dominated Kyle Walker's card because of Valencia's high work rates. But now that this year that Kyle Walker has the high work rates, he is a phenomenal right back to have, probably the best in the game, to be honest, right? Acceleration 86, 93 sprint speed, 67 agility, 72 balance. But if someone does far post crosses, right, 83 jumping with 6 foot height, while having a pretty decent, not like as big as Virgil van Dijk, obviously, but a decent physical stature in the game. Very, very nice. Good defensive stats, great strength and aggression, because here's the thing, 75 strength with 78 aggression with 86 acceleration and 93 sprint speed is fantastic. And then obviously, yeah, you see them all in orange, and then bang, you give him an anchor card, all of it's in green. Anchor gives him that acceleration sprint speed boost. And this card is just absolutely phenomenal to use as a right back. He's so good in this game. The reason why I'm using Footbin right now is because when I did the videos previously on FIFA 19 Squad Builder, I didn't really get all the players, so that's why I'm doing it on this, right? I'm just going to make sure I don't skip on anybody here. Toby Alderweireld. Let's see, 59 acceleration, 65 sprint speed. I actually use this card. He has a pretty decent. He has like a Kyle Walker physical stature in game, so it kind of makes his card a little bit better. But again, acceleration, sprint speed a little bit low. But he does actually make up for it in the defense and the physical capabilities, right? Like these stats definitely make up for a lot. The biggest thing that people don't look at, right, is the composure that a center back has, right? Because the composure allows them to defend better, right? It's when you're holding out trigger, shielding it. It's against attacking presence. It's just a phenomenal thing to obviously have. 86 reactions as well makes them kind of defend like a beast as well, like kind of like putting in those tackles and stuff. So it's a good card for what it is, right? So if you give him an anchor card as well, you give him 70 sprint speed, 64 acceleration. So again, your depth would have to be kind of low instead of it being high, and they would work really nicely. Let's see what else we got here. So we got Aymeric Laporte, Davinson Sanchez. So Davinson Sanchez, so right now at the top of the Premier League table is Davinson Sanchez and Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk's obviously the best one, but Davinson Sanchez's card is phenomenal. I've used this card in the draft, and this card is absolutely filthy, right? Medium high work rates, acceleration 72, sprint speed 79. That's just phenomenal to have. 60 agility, 55 balance. Not great, but again, makes up for it in the pace department. He doesn't have the physical stature of Virgil van Dijk, right? So the strength and aggression isn't going to be as noticeable, but it's still very noticeable for his card. But he does have really good defensive stats, really good physical capabilities. And again, if you stop an anchor on him, boom, 84 sprint speed with 77 acceleration. If you want to increase it to the 10 and the 10, if you really care about that pace on his card, you can do that because his physical capabilities are pretty decent. The reason why I like giving anchor, another very big reason why I like giving anchor to the cards, is because of the physical, right? So the jumping part is huge, right? 6'2" with 83 jumping is significantly different to 6'2", 73 jumping, right? So the jumping is very important, like I said, because crossing in this game is very effective. So definitely look into that because it's going to be a game changer for sure, right? So that's Davinson Sanchez's card. Next card we have here is Sokratis. So as you guys know, I did use Sokratis, or I think I'm still using Sokratis. Did I ever switch my center back to somebody else? I honestly don't remember. So I was using Sokratis in this game, and, you know, he's a decent card to use. I gave him an anchor and everything, right? He's a pretty decent card to use. His sprint speed is better than his acceleration. So if it was the other way around, where his acceleration was better than his sprint speed, that would be more preferable, obviously. But for what it is, it's a pretty decent card, right? Medium high work rates, great physical and defending stats. It's just that he has like this weird sluggish feel to him that I didn't really like too much, and it allowed people to outbody him most of the times. But he was a pretty good card for what he was. I actually think I still use him in my team if I'm not mistaken. 6'1" with 96 jumping. Again, I don't really believe that the chemistry styles upgrade the players by this much, by the 10s. I think it's more around the 2s, 3s, and 4s. But because then what's the point of getting the informs, right? Because if it's this, here's the thing. Here's my reason why I don't believe the chemistry styles are upgraded by this much. First of all, right, the finishing in FIFA is awful. If you're trying to tell me that when I give a card full chemistry, right, with where's the card, Deadeye, yeah, you're gonna upgrade my finishing by plus 15. I have players that have, with their chemistry styles, with Sniper, have 99 finishing with 85 composure, through on goal by themselves, no pressure on them, and they still scuff their shots. So it's hard to say whether or not their stats are accurate enough, if that makes sense, right? Joel Matip, we can look at his inform card right off the bat. So Joel Matip's card is obviously tall. He's tall in real life, right? 6'5". Yeah, I didn't even know that, but I watched Liverpool in real life, so I know how tall this guy is in real life. Acceleration is very low, 57 acceleration. Got to keep that depth really low with him. 72 sprint speed, 59 agility, 50 balance, but has 80 composure and 87 reactions. So this reactions with these really good defensive stats, as well as decent physical, right? So obviously you got to give him an anchor to increase that jumping a little bit. 78 jumping while being 6'5" with 88 strength, 87 aggression, 88 strength, 88 aggression. I didn't do that part right because I did it in each word. You know, he's a decent card to have. I never really tried him on myself, but I definitely know that his movement off the ball wouldn't be great, especially since he's really tall. And his physical stature is not going to be big, but it's going to be like, there's like such thing as kind of like a skinny big, if that makes sense. Like an Aubameyang, but a Joel Matip's card is going to be like a little bit of a bigger version than Aubameyang, slightly, right? But it should be a decent card. It should be a decent card to use. Like if you're a Liverpool fan, you want to use the card, then I would definitely try it out for sure. Aymeric Laporte. We can look at Aymeric Laporte's Champions League card because it'll be very similar, right? Agility 45. Good defensive stats. Very poor physical stats, to be honest. Because again, I don't believe the chemistry style upgrades the players by that much. So if you give him an anchor, it looks nice, but it's not going to upgrade by that much, I don't think, right? So it's an interesting card, right? Because he has 75 composure, 83 reactions, and he has decent passing stats because obviously he plays for Pep's team, so he's got to have good passing stats. Medium work rates while being left-footed. It's funny, right? Because in this year's game, if your center back has a 4-star weak foot, it's pretty nice to have because you can intercept. Like if you put a left-footed player on the right center back spot, people go for those finesse shots, right? So it's actually preferable to do that so that your players can lunge for the ball with their left foot on the opposite side, if that makes any sense, right? Because when they go for the finesse shot, they're shooting it through the middle. So your left back with a good weak foot, or with his left foot being good, will stick out his foot in that general position, right? 83 reactions, 75 composure, strength, aggression's okay. It's not a bad card in all fairness, right? Next cards that we have here is David Luiz. So David Luiz's card obviously has low pace. Defensive capabilities are pretty decent, but his physical capability is pretty low. You would slap an anchor on him. 69 agility, 56 balance on his card. It would be a decent card to use. Medium work rate, 6'2". It would be interesting to try him out. I don't think he'll be that good. Unfortunately, he used to have a sick card back in the day. Like if we could actually, I don't know how to look at the previous FIFA cards, but this guy used to have a really nice card before. Maybe if they upgrade him to, it's funny because I actually think about this, right? So he used to play, did he used to play for Chelsea before they bought him back? I think they sold him to PSG and then they bought him back. So if they get the stats of the David Luiz before they sold him to PSG from that FIFA, that would be a crazy SBC to get. I think that'd be actually phenomenal to get, right? Eric Bailly's card. Eric Bailly. Oh, Harry Maguire's here too. Harry Maguire has low pace for sure. Yeah, 50 pace. Got to keep that depth low. Defensive capability is pretty good. The physical capability is pretty good while being 6'4". High work rates. Yeah, you definitely got to put the depth low. Slap an anchor on him. Ooh, that acceleration is really low. That's going to be super noticeable with that card. Eric Bailly, obviously, always a phenomenal center back to use in FIFA. Excuse me. He's not the best, though, man. I actually think Davinson Sanchez would be better than him, right? But the thing is that he has 80 sprint speed. That 80 sprint speed is what makes up for this card, right? He's got the physical capabilities, very good physical capabilities, may I add, right? 86 strength with 88 aggression is amazing to have with 80 sprint speed. Then you slap an anchor on him, right? You get a few upgrades here and there. So he makes up for it, right? It is, again, the agility being 65 and the balance being 62 is pretty decent because it's a center back, right? With that acceleration, that sprint speed, with these defensive stats, these physical capabilities, the card's incredible. I actually use Eric Bailly in my official team right now, if you guys have seen the Foot Champs videos, and I think he plays pretty well, man. He's a pretty good player, but I do think that possibly Davinson Sanchez and Virgil van Dijk together would definitely be a better combo. One is medium. I think Virgil van Dijk is medium. So it'd definitely be interesting to try him out and see how he plays. Next cards we got here is John Stones. So John Stones has 70 pace. So he makes up for it a little bit, right? 72 sprint speeds, 67 acceleration. But you got to know, right? In game, he is the skinny big player, if that makes any sense, right? Like I think he's gonna be like an Aubameyang type physical stature, right? Good, decent physical capabilities, decent defending capabilities. 81 composure with 70-80 reactions is pretty decent. Give him an anchor card. Anchor card should be what you use most for your center backs. I wouldn't really recommend using anything else because it upgrades your stats pretty significantly in the pace, defense, and physical department. So that's what I would definitely be looking at. Next card we have here is Antonio Valencia as a fullback. I need to review the card because it looks phenomenal. I might not get through all the fullbacks, but the thing is, right, is that when I make these videos, guys, right, and I'm explaining these things about these cards, at some point, right, you kind of get the picture and you don't really need me to review all the cards. It's just what you should be looking for when I'm reviewing them, if that makes any sense, right? But obviously, Valencia's card is going to be phenomenal to use as a fullback. Decent defensive capabilities, decent physical capabilities. But his jumping is low, but he does make up for a little bit with the 5'11", tiny bit. If you give him an anchor card, it'll increase some of the stats as well, right? Acceleration, sprint speed higher. Fantastic work rates as he normally does have. He was a beast last year, and this year he's obviously very good too. And the good thing about this card is look at his agility, balance, and then his just general dribbling stats. He looks like a really, really good card. I actually might buy this card for my team this week. Or not this week, but just for my new team, just so I can have someone that isn't Ricardo Pereira, because Ricardo Pereira is honestly awful, right? I just didn't like Ricardo Pereira's positioning. Let me see where Antonio Valencia's marking is. 78 marking. If I look at Ricardo Pereira's marking, I think it's going to be similar or lower. I'm going to see what it actually is. Ricardo Pereira. The Ricardo Pereira's card has 76 marking. I don't like the movement of this card at all. It just doesn't work for me. Valencia also makes up for it by being 5'11". 5'11" is such a nice height to have. I know I mentioned that earlier, but that's like a really big thing, right? Chris Smalling's card, he always has like a decent card to use in the EPL, right? His agility, balance kind of low, acceleration, sprint speed. Sprint speed, oh, he makes up for the sprint speed, so it's okay. Defensive capability is pretty decent. Physical capability is really, really good, so definitely worth trying out that card for sure. Medium work rates, medium high work rates, even better. Medium high work rates for me is the best center back work rate to possibly have. I think it just works out the best in my opinion. Let me see the cards that people would rather see that are the most relevant right now. So we have Marcus Alonso, obviously. Low pace. I've already used this card already. The pace is really noticeable. Fullbacks definitely need the pace. No questions about it at all. In my opinion, I just absolutely need it. Anything else here that people would want to see? Probably Andrew Robertson. I didn't like Andrew Robertson's card at all. I've tried it in game. It just didn't work for me. I didn't like the way he felt on and off the ball. I wasn't a huge fan, but a lot of people like this card. High work rates. It's a card that's worth trying out. Like, guys, some of the cards I'm saying that I would like and I wouldn't like, I just have a feeling for it for myself, but you guys need to try these cards out yourself to see. But it's just like an opinion that I'm definitely giving, right? So Benjamin Mendy, I used him. The biggest thing that's noticeable with this card, physical presence is amazing. But you know what really bad this card is? This part right here, man. This agility and balance made me really dislike him because it made his dribbling slower. And because defensive AI is really effective with constant pressure, it was really annoying to use him in my opinion. So that's why I didn't really like him too much. Antonio Rudiger, I'm definitely going to review him. This card is a good card to have in the beginning of FIFA, but at some point, it just doesn't work, right? His jumping is low, his agility and balance is low. Very good card to use in the beginning because he is 2,800 coins, so you can't go wrong with that, obviously. But he does have sprint speed being 78, so it makes up for a lot of the stats kind of being low. If you slap an anchor card on him, that's the best solution to have with this card. But the physical capabilities being low is more noticeable because look, he has 99 aggression with 85 strength, and you would think that that's good enough, but he got outbodied a lot of times. He's a skinny D's as well in game. He's not like a big D's like Virgil van Dijk or Sokratis or something, so definitely makes a difference there. Ricardo Pereira, we just reviewed, not really too crazy about him. Danny Rose, Serge Aurier looks like, you know what, Serge Aurier would be worth having. Like, his pace is not amazing, but if you give him an anchor, it might increase by 2 or 3. So he has high work rates. He does have a high work rate, so it'd be worth trying him out because his dribbling is okay, his defensive and physical capabilities are okay, so it would definitely be worth trying him out as well. I think that's pretty much it. I feel like you guys definitely get the idea of the types of players that you should be looking for when you are using these players. I am using Virgil van Dijk, or I'm using Van Aanholt as my left back right now, and I think I am not pronouncing his name right, possibly. I'm just going to show you guys this last card that I am using, Van Aanholt. So this is the card that I'm using right now. And as you can see, 77 balance with 77 agility while being 5'9" makes me, or allows me to dribble better with him. But the thing that he's definitely lacking is the heading presence. Because although he has 90 jumping, his 5'9" height, when the ball is crossed over him, is very noticeable. But I do like using this card for what it is. Defensive capabilities aren't crazy, and I obviously want to improve this card. At some point in the future, maybe I want to get like an Alexandro or something. I think he would definitely be the best solution to my problems, because high work rates, with very good capabilities everywhere on the card, right? He's just a phenomenal card to have. But he is 295k for the Champions League cards, but as you guys know, those are like significantly improved, quite literally. And this card is 108k. So I'm going to try to see if I can get this card at some point in the future and go from there. But that is going to conclude the video for today, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. This is for the Premier League defensive players. They have a lot of very good players in the Premier League defensively. Very cheap options, expensive options. So it's all about upgrading and improving to those types of squads. So that is going to conclude the video for today, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys enjoyed it, please drop a thumbs up on it. Definitely helps the channel a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.